Oh, no, we're not doing it. We have got so much to do, we'll never do everything. And then it's like, okay, we're doing good, we're doing good. We haven't yet, no. If you need to
He wanted it to be that way, but he didn't have the authority to sign it. That's now what we think. They've been using
Accountability for
Honey, babe, babe.
Get him.
I don't want to take yours. You can get another one. Okay, thank you. That's why I went to school. And I didn't shake. Yeah, I and that way I can shape them around my ear to hold.
How you doing, man? I was just talking to Chad to get in his thing.
You want Chad?
Well, he's standing up right there talking. But just tell him your husband say congratulations on the test and hope he did good on it. Okay.
Thank you.
Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Woodward. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Invocation, Mr. Primo.
Lord, please watch over and protect our city. Please give us the strength and the guidance that we need to make the right decisions here tonight. Amen.
Thank you. I'd like to remind everyone that we are still very concerned about COVID-19. If you don't have a mask on and you have one with you, please wear it. I mean, if you do have a mask with you, if you don't have it on, please put it on. We thank you. Mr. Reagan could not be with us this evening because of COVID-19. And also, Mr. Woody, I've asked him to come this evening, and he did also refuse because of COVID-19. So we will manage, and then we'll move right along. All right. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Jeff Cadell,
Here.
Brad Ford,
Here.
Clint Prater,
Here.
Lyle Fogelman,
Here.
Vernon Martin, Stephen Primo,
Here.
Sammy Regis,
Here.
Kim Stringfellow, here, Byron Woodward.
Here.
9 present.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Appearances. Mr. Michael Landry to address the council regarding his candidacy for 15th Judicial District Judge.
Good evening, everybody.
There you go.
As said, I'd like to thank the mayor and the council for allowing me to introduce myself today and speak to you. I am a candidate, as the mayor said, I'm a candidate for the 15th Judicial District Court, Division A. That is for judge. That's a seat that's going to be vacated by John Trumbull when he retires in November. I'm running against Scott Pribot for that seat. I believe we'll be the only two candidates running. It's been a very difficult election year, to say the least. We haven't had many opportunities to reach out to people, address groups, or host people. So I'm especially appreciative of this opportunity to speak to a room full of people. I think most of the people in front of me know me. Some of you behind me may not. My name is Michael Landry. I'm born and raised in Crowley. I'm 52 years old, married to Angela Landry, who's here with me today. If she doesn't divorce me over this election, we'll be married 25 years in August. We have 3 children, John, who's 21, Elise, who's 20, and David, who is 17. He'll be a senior at Notre Dame this coming up year. And oldest 2 are at LSU. I graduated from LSU with a degree in finance. Graduated from Loyola Law School in 1995 and was admitted to the bar in 1995. I began my practice or my career as a lawyer in Baton Rouge. I actually worked for about 3 years for the Louisiana Municipal Association, who I think y'all are probably familiar with. The LMA has, or they did at that time, have an in-house legal department or in-house litigation department that handled lawsuits against cities. So there were 3 of us at that time, and we would travel throughout the state and handle lawsuits against all the municipalities that were part of the LMA. So that was a totally litigation-based practice. I did that for about 3 years and decided to move back to my hometown of Crowley in 1999. And I've been here ever since, practicing with my father until he passed away, J.W. Landry, and my brother, James, or Jimmy Landry. You know, a lot of people have asked me why I've chosen to run, and it is certainly not because I want to be a politician or that I enjoy politics. It's really my least favorite aspect of all this. But I've always wanted to be a judge, and, you know, unfortunately, or, you know, just the fact of the matter is it's an elected office, so you have to be involved in politics. You know, I don't know that I'm a particularly good politician. As I've spoken to people out and about, you know, always asking, you know, what are you hearing? What are you hearing good? And always make a point of asking people what are they hearing bad. Because, you know, I want to know if there's something that someone has a misconception about me, if I said something or failed to do something that offends somebody, I want to know so that I can have a conversation with them and address it. And, you know, for the most part, nobody tells you anything negative, but the one negative thing I have heard is, you know, you don't talk a whole lot. You don't really talk a whole lot to people. And I'd have to say I'm guilty as charged. By nature, I'm a pretty reserved, pretty quiet person. I've never been the type of person that feels the need to talk just to hear myself talk. Certainly speak up for myself if I have to, speak up for my clients when I have to, but, you know, I'm content to sit back and listen. And, you know, that may make me a pretty poor politician, but I think that's a quality that's important to a judge. You know, every day in a courtroom, there's a performance that plays out, but the judge isn't a part of that performance. Okay? The judge is just the audience. You know, the performers, the people that matter, are the litigants. You know, it's that accused who's fighting for his freedom, that victim who's fighting for justice, you know, plaintiffs who've been injured and they might be fighting for their livelihood because they can't work anymore, and the people that they've sued who don't think they're responsible and that they shouldn't have to pay. You know, those are the people that matter. The judge, like I said, his job is just to listen. So I think that being a willing listener, willing to sit back and listen, is a positive trait as opposed to a negative trait. You know, obviously, in a judge, you want someone with some experience, you want someone who's relatively intelligent. You know, I'm probably not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I think if you asked around, people would say I have enough smarts to get the job done. I have a broad range of experience. As I said, I've been practicing for just about 25 years now. I practice in a lot of different courts throughout the state, handle a lot of different types of matters. And so I think I have a breadth of experience or a broad scope of experience that would help me on the bench. But, you know, honestly, I believe that most attorneys, and I think most attorneys would agree with this, that, you know, most attorneys that are relatively intelligent and relatively competent, you know, they have enough experience and enough intelligence to get the job done. They can learn the things that they need to learn to get the job done. And that's not a slight to the judges that are on the bench. I think that's just the facts. So I think what's important is not so much that, but it's what type of experience you have as a person and what kind of a person you are. As I said, I think it's important for a judge to be a good listener. But listening doesn't just mean being attentive. You know, being a good listener means that you're a willing listener. You know, you have to show people dignity and respect. And you have to show those litigants that are in court that you're willing to listen. You have to give them the opportunity to have their day in court, because that's what people want when they come in court. You also have to be an objective listener. You have to be willing to listen objectively. And what that requires you to do is to be humble, to humble yourself before these people that are arguing to you. Because you can't go into a courtroom with preconceived notions or thinking you know everything. You know, you've got to be willing to concede that you might learn something new that day. You have to listen objectively to people, hear their arguments out, and be willing to have your mind changed if they make a good argument. You know, you also have to be unbiased, and you have to be above the political fray. As I said, it's an elective office, but there's no room for politics when you're on the bench. You can't make a decision worrying about it might offend this group of people or it might offend that group of people. Your job is simply to hear the facts, apply the facts to the law, and make a just decision. You know, that's honestly why I wanted to be a judge. You know, oftentimes as an attorney, you're forced to advocate for a client, and let's face it, our clients aren't always reasonable. Reasonable people don't typically end up in court. So oftentimes you're being asked to advocate for a position that you may not completely agree with, but it's your job as an attorney to do that. You're, as a judge, you're not put in that position. As a judge, your only job is to do what's right. And that's what appeals to me in the office. That's all I want to do, is to sit there, hear people out, give them their day of court, and do what's right and make a just decision. And, you know, those are qualities that I think I have. I think those are the qualities that are important to a judge. And I think if you ask around, if you ask the public, I think you would find, some people that certainly have faults just like anybody else. And I'm sure if you ask around, you'll find some people that will take some fault. But I don't think you'll find anybody that says that I've ever been anything other than honest and respectful, and that I've treated the people that I've dealt with dignity and respect and compassion. And I think those are important qualities for a judge to have, and I think I have those qualities. So if you agree with that, I would hope that you see fit to vote for me November 3rd. If you want to find out more about our campaign, we have a Facebook page. I don't know much about social media, but if you Google Michael Landon for judge, it should come up. Let me know if it doesn't. But you go on there, we post some videos and other postings which give you a little more insight into who and what I am. And with that said, I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and hope you all have a great night.
Thank you, Mr. Landry.
And I do have some cards with some biographical information if I can hand those out. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Landry. Good luck to you. All right, next is Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy. Okay. Next item is, do we have any agenda amendments?
I would like to amend the agenda.
I'm sorry, Mr. Martin, could you please state your topic?
The topic is very simple. I just want to introduce to council those who have not met. We have the executive director of the MAC here, along with Mr. Paul, which our subject at one time was dealing with the bid and the piggyback. They're here, basically, I understand that they spoke to certain people, yourself as well. They're here to make sure that the piggyback that was produced for the artificial turf is legal. Okay? Because not every day you get a $1.5 million, shall we say, standing bid and piggyback off of that for 5 point whatever. That, to me, I mean, that's a red flag. And as y'all know, my capacity as Secretary of Treasury, if I didn't do this, I'll be not following my judiciary duties. So I just want to let you know. And if may, I'd like to just introduce them to everyone and at your pleasure. I'm not sure if they want to say anything or not, but they're here looking and listening, and I'm pretty sure.
All right, if you don't mind, let's amend the agenda right off the bat. Amend the agenda for them to come up in the appearances. So I would ask you to make a motion.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to allow the representative from the MAT to come up and give a synopsis of how and what and try and get a better understanding of the bid and how the piggyback law is all right.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Willard. Just real quick, show of hands, everybody, please. Okay, thank you very much. It passed. So you can introduce them, please, Mr. Martin.
Cliff and Paul, you come up, they around the state, they don't need no introduction, they just like the Pope.
Well, I'm not so sure about that, but.
Well, I'm one of the altar boys, so.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Madam Clerk. I'm Cliff Palmer, my colleague Paul Holmes, and we are representing the LMA through its subsidiary, the LMATS. And as part of our services through LMATS, we offer and provide several to the city, would be a review of any kind of large procurement item, and one was brought to our attention. We're not here to make judgment on anything other than to offer really Paul's expertise. I'm just the spokesman, but Paul has many years of experience in procurement, and we would welcome the opportunity to review the business plan as the mayor was so kind to offer, and the Mr. Engineer is going to send it to us, and we'll just take a look at it and make sure that it's within full compliance. We help municipalities throughout the state, and sometimes we come in at different phases in projects, and sometimes at the very beginning, sometimes in this case it appears that the council has already taken action. So all we want to do is offer our services, and we'll do a quick review. Paul is willing to provide, working with the city attorney, provide a memorandum if you'd like, in the event that down the road the legislative auditor looks at it and want to have somebody have a look at it. Paul, go ahead, please.
I'm Paul Holmes. I'm an attorney. I'm also one of the attorneys that candidate Landry was talking about traveling the roads of Louisiana and trying cases all over the place for the municipalities. We've worked together for about 3 years in that bridge. We've worked with your city attorney, Don Reagan, in the past, and we've also helped the city with questions from auditors in the past. Going back a year or so ago, there were a couple of questions put our way. We responded to them. I think we were successful in getting the city off the auditor's hit list, so to speak, on one of them. The other one we weren't so successful with. But the more eyes and ears you have up front, especially on a high profile, and whether you realize it or not, when you're talking the money that you're talking, I mean, it was probably 15, 20 minutes before word got all the way back to Baton Rouge that, hey, they're into this process, there's a lot of money involved, somebody should take a look to see what's going on, to make sure that all T's are crossed, I's are dotted. And that's not to say that they haven't, but we've had experience with other communities, municipalities that have, gone through bond opinions, whether to, go before the bond commission, whether to not. We have nods of attorneys, bonding attorneys, city attorneys, only for, those administrations to get themselves into trouble with the legislative auditor or the AG at a later time. So just, we'll work with you anyway and confirm or review and let you know what our concerns might be with this very important project that you're working on. And I'm very happy to see that you all are working on such a project. It's going to be a big plus for this community. You're really progressing with something of that scope and size.
Let me just add, Mr. Mayor, if I could, one important point. This is at no cost to the city. You're an important member of the LMA, so you're a member of the MAPS. Councilman Martin has served on our board for several years, so just want to make sure that everybody understands we're not in here trying to generate any business on our behalf. But our interest is taking care of you the best we can. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
What
Yes.
type of time frame are we looking at? Once you start your review, what can we expect?
It's just, you mentioned that you do have a business plan, and that the process has been followed. And I think you all have looked at this long and hard, so it wouldn't take long at all, maybe a day or two, once all of the business plan and the underlying process, the original bid type process that was used is reviewed.
And if there are issues found, will you report those back to us?
Right, we
To
can
resolve?
notify you, give you, suggestions of what you might look into.
Oh, great, thank you.
And if I may, I'm sorry, anytime the map comes into play, or even the element, we, as we say, we're a card carrying member of the element. They have so many services over there that you wouldn't believe. Anytime we have a problem, we can always call on them. They'll find a way to get to it, just like they drove down from that road, and I appreciate it. And not only the point of this time, but I've seen these two. Matter of fact, they were driving so much we had to buy them a new vehicle. So they're doing their job, and every city they go to, we get nothing but complimentary letters and what have you. Because their job is, we know it's good, but maybe they can make it better. That sounds reasonable. And I'm thinking for me and him, because to be honest with y'all, look, I said, man, the traffic is bad. Because I got caught in the traffic. But thank y'all for coming in.
Well,
I look forward to y'all, whatever review y'all bring to us.
You're very welcome. We appreciate what y'all do, mayor, council members. We know this is tough. We work with 303 municipalities, some very small villages and some very large cities. The problems exist. Same problems exist in every municipality. So we understand the struggle. We don't propose that we have all the solutions, but the expertise that we might have in certain areas, we'd be happy to share it. And again, at no cost, because you're such an important part of the LMA. And we thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm staying here back now. Thank you.
All right, next item, approval of the minutes. Regular council meeting held on June 10th, 2020.
I so moved.
Seconded, Mr. Burbidge. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Special council meeting held on June 23rd, 2020. Offered by Mr. Martin. Seconded by Ms. Stringfellow. Discussion? All in favor? Next is special council meeting held on June 25th, 2020.
So real.
Offered by Mr. Burbidge.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Cabell. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Okay. Next is the mayor's report, sales tax chart. Keep in mind that these are April numbers. And there was a 1.42 increase. Thank God. Next is the sewer user fee. A moderate increase of 5.70. And again, that was those particular funds. Next is the budget analysis. We should be about 75%, which you can tell we're doing very well. And there's one particular one, I don't think that she has everything in yet, but it's close. And we're doing exceptionally well on that. Okay, next we'll move into standing committee reports. First, Public Works, Mr. Craig.
Thank you, Mayor. The Public Works Committee convened Wednesday, July 1st, 2020 at 4 p.m. in the council chambers. Quorum was present. Under action items, motion was offered by Alderman Vernon Martin and seconded by Alderman Brad Ford to approve partial payment estimate number 1 to Southern Constructors Incorporated for the citywide drainage improvement project in the amount of $283,948.33. That motion carried, and I so move.
Offered by Mr. Craig, seconded by Mr. Martin. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
A motion was offered by myself and seconded by Alderman Byron Wilridge, Senior, to approve change order number 1 under the Southern Constructors Incorporated contract for the citywide drainage improvement project to extend the subsurface drainage system on Eastern Avenue between 8th Street and 7th Street in an estimated amount of expected to be between $45,000 and $50,000. And that motion carried, and I so move.
Offered by Mr. Crater, seconded by Mr. Woodward. Discussion? Okay, Ms. Stringfellow?
Thank you, Mayor. Did anyone on the council, or was anyone able to go look at that? I wasn't able to go view that area. I was just curious, if anyone was able to go view it. It is.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cavell.
Mr. Mayor, do you have the final number?
I do. I'm not marrying anybody, but I do. 44,249.30. 44,249.30.
30. 44, 249, and 30. Let it be known at that amount, please, on record. And it was offered by Mr. Krieger and seconded by Mr. Woodward. Any more questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
A motion was offered by Alderman Vernon Martin and seconded by Alderman Byron Wildridge to adopt a resolution for the fiscal year 2020-2021 materials purchases. That motion carried, and I so move.
Second. Offered by Mr. Krieger, seconded by Mr. Core. Discussion? Mr. Krieger?
Is that what I saw in the paper yesterday, or maybe out today's paper, I saw it yesterday, that it's already out advertising for bids?
Yes.
It is?
Today's.
It was today's paper, and then it was in another paper earlier, I think.
We advertised the first time last week.
Just wondering if that's the same thing.
Okay. Any more questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
A motion was offered by Alderman Vernon Martin and seconded by Alderman Byron Wildridge to adopt a resolution for the fiscal year 2020-2021 labor and equipment general construction work. And that motion carried, and I so move.
Offered by Mr. Krieger, seconded by Mr. Martin. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Under non-action items, Public Works Director, Mr. Albert John, presented the monthly Public Works Department report. Street Commissioner, Mr. Gilbert Ozine, presented the monthly Street Department report. And City Engineer, Mr. Tim Mader, presented the monthly Engineers report. Mayor also will determine who is responsible for the repair of the open graves at the old Crowley Cemetery and report back to the council at the next regular meeting on July the 8th, which is today. There was no further, you want to expand on that?
Yes, sir, I do. I will tell you that Mr. Reagan and I have discussed that. He did, just like I predicted, there are some legalities, and it goes way back, and he is still researching it, and he should have an answer for me tomorrow, or at least by Monday. And I'll get back to all of you and let you all know who is actually responsible.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
If there were no further business to come before the Public Works Committee and the committee recess.
Thank you, Mr. Prater. Utility Committee, Mr. Martin.
This time, Mayor, I'd like to give my committee to Vice Chair since I had to step out.
Okay. Reggie?
Utility Committee convened Wednesday, July 1st, 2020 at 4 p.m. in the council chambers. A quorum was present. Under action items, a motion was offered by Alderman Jeff Cavell and seconded by myself to adopt a resolution authorizing the use of remaining LVEQ CWSRF loan funds for installation of a comminutor at the City of Crowley's main sewage pump station project. Motion carried, and I so move.
Offered by Mr. Recchi, seconded by Mr. Core. Discussion?
Just one thing, Mayor.
Mr. Martin?
Even though we know what all these letters stand for, the general public usually don't. I would request in the future that anytime we use, shall we say, the first letter of each word, like Louisiana Department of Equality, that it also have the name of it. So that way, people in the public, the general public behind us would know exactly what we're talking about.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Under non-action items, wastewater superintendent Clint Crater presented the monthly wastewater report. Tim Crater, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
And city engineer Tim Mader presented the monthly engineer's report. There was no further business to come before utility committee and the committee recess.
Thank you. Next is recreation, Mr. Primo.
Thank you, Mayor. Recreation Committee convened on Wednesday, July 1st, 2020 at 4 p.m. There were no action items. Under non-action items, Recreation Director Peter Kirsch presented the monthly Recreation Department report. Tim Mader, City Engineer, presented the monthly Engineer's report. There was no further business to come before the Recreation Committee, and the committee recessed.
Thank you, Mr. Primo. Next, zoning and annexation, Mr. Fogelman.
Thank you, Mayor. Zoning and annexation convened Wednesday, July the 1st at 4 p.m. in council chambers. All members were present. I do understand that we have someone that would like to address the council.
Actually, if we give you item number 1 to consider the favorable recommendation.
All right. Under action items, a motion was offered by myself and seconded by Stephen Primo to amend the zoning and annexation committee agenda to include an item for the potential usage of a conditional use permit for a hair salon business operated by Ms. Jackie Broussard to be located at 571 Mims Drive. The motion carried, and I so move.
Second.
Seconded. Offered by Mr. Fogelman, seconded by Mr. Cabell. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We move to-
Now, Mr. Caleb Guidry.
Yes, sir, I have
Address.
a speaker card for Mr. Caleb Guidry of the Gateway Overlay.
How you doing? I know most of you, just wanted to introduce myself, Caleb Guidry. Me and my partner Blake Burrell are here. We're just trying to purchase a building, the old Hayes Park building. Like to open a paint body shop. We have $50,000 in work, taxable work, waiting. We don't have the building yet, you know? So once we get there, I mean, we plan on really growing. And the banks are waiting. The banks are waiting. We're mainly just waiting on y'all to make a decision, just to let us open that there. You know, it's a rundown building. We're only gonna make it better, you know. I know everybody talks about, you know, certain body shops and certain mechanic shops have vehicles everywhere and all that. That's not gonna be us. We're coming in with a different aspect of this, and we wanna stand out, you know, second to none compared to the others. And just, man, like our Grafton area, we'd like to fence it in inside and out, all of our wrecked vehicles. You're not even able to see that, you know. That's on day one, we plan on doing that. We're gonna have a showroom where we're gonna sell supplies. We're gonna offer inspections. We're gonna be set up for a drive-by for insurance companies to come do their work. They can do it at our body shop for other body shops, you know, because some of these companies don't have an office to sit at in Crowley. We're gonna do, you know, they can do their auto estimates. We want to grow and have multiple locations, with Crowley being our main corporate office. So we're not coming in having a mindset of just gonna be a mom and pop body shop. We really want to grow and shine, and obviously the city of Crowley is going to reap our benefits because there's gonna be a lot of tax dollars rolling through, you know. Just want to take a minute and just introduce myself, and hopefully we can get this moving, guys. I mean, it's a rundown building. Can't get any worse than what it is now. You know, we really want to make it look better and just purchase it. And the banks call me once a week asking, hey, what's the update? And I said, man, I'm not going to buy a building if I don't know if I can do my business out of it. You know, we're only going to make it look better, though. We can show you all of our plans and everything, show you all that, you know, we have a great plan. So I don't know if you have any questions.
Mr. Guidry, what's the address again? I'm sorry.
325 Southeastern Avenue.
325 Southeastern Avenue, it's the old Hayes Corporate, right when you cross the bridge to the left.
Okay.
I think it's been closed a few years.
Mr. Primo?
Yes, I don't have a question for Caleb, but I would like to say that I've known him for a long time. He went to school with one of my sons, and he is a nice young man, and I think he'll do a very fine job over there.
Appreciate that.
Mr. Martin?
Yes, first of all, I want to make it clear that I am 100% in favor of any building being occupied. What that does, that not only adds appreciation to the city, but also help in what we call the fight of crime. We understand what happens when we make a building and stuff.
Yeah.
One question I have, and if you not planning on it or haven't thought about it, as you know right now, one of the places in Baton Rouge, I think it's, what's that little town right outside of Baton Rouge where the big insurance field is? Every time a car is ready, they send it over there. I can't think of the name of that little town.
Denham Spring?
No, that's right before you get to the, stuff, well, right over there. They have a thing that they call the bid and sale. In other words, you open up a earful when you say that the insurance companies will be coming over to do their thing. Well, you might want to look into this because this is a lucrative business. Anytime, let's say, if they get the wreck and they send it to you, I don't know if it's a pyramid where they send so many or whatever, you can actually have the insurance companies come and declare that vehicle to be total loss, and basically turn over the paperwork to you. I've been involved in about 3 of them, which is amazing. And basically, I don't know if they sell it to you for $1 or whatever, but they allow you to first ask the person that owns it, and 9 out of 10 times they don't want to do anything with it.
First come, first served.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's something you might want to look into, because I can promise you that will bring you business. And as far as being in favor of it, you got my vote in favor. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Any other questions? Can we get this thing moving tonight or what? I need to call my bank tomorrow.
Thank you for hanging in there.
Thank y'all guys.
Thank you, Mr. Guidry. Ms. Holman?
Thank you, Mayor. With that said, we have an agenda, we have a motion for a resolution on the agenda.
Bob, excuse me. We have a second item on the agenda, action items. Did we cover that, or is that a, is that a double?
It's a double.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just.
Right, we're talking about the city, the planning commission. And the second. Just wanna make sure the whole-
Well, let's just cover bases. Okay, thank you. A motion was offered by myself and seconded by Alderman Stephen Primo to approve the favorable recommendation of the City of Crowley Planning Commission for a conditional use permit to be issued for a hair salon business operated by Jackie Broussard to be located at 571 Mims Drive. The motion carried, and I so move.
Second.
Okay. Offered, well, that was from the planning commission, but anyway, we'll make it technical. Offered by Mr. Fulton, seconded by Mr. Primo. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you. At this point, the agenda reflects that there is a motion on the table, but I would like to amend the motion at this time. And I would point out that in the packet of information we've received, we have 2 different sets of potential resolutions that deal with gateway ordinance. And the one I would like to propose and put forward deals specifically with section 3, subsection 1407. At this time, I'd like to provide and set forth the motion that a resolution be adopted and referred to the Planning Commission for public hearing to repeal and delete from the Special Gateway Overlay District Ordinance, section 3, subsection 1407, which specifies a list of prohibited uses, and I so move.
Second.
Offered by Mr. Fogelman, seconded by Mr. Primo. Discussion. Okay, we start with Mr. Prater.
I actually sat down and read that gateway ordinance today, and it's very, very, very consuming. I mean, I can't expect anybody could actually enforce all of the stuff that's in that gateway ordinance as it stands right now. I also went back and looked at the C3 zoning ordinances, which pretty much covers everything that's in the gateway. And to me, that's not restrictive enough. So I don't know if there's a happy medium that we could meet somewhere in the middle, but if you really go back and look at that thing, I don't know how many of you have, that there's footages, there's trees, certain types of trees that you can plant that grow at a certain rate. There's hedges that have to be a certain height that grow. It's really, really crazy. And I also went back and I found the Planning Commission letter that they sent us, where they said that, at its December 3rd meeting, the Crowley Planning Commission discussed the special gateway overlay district ordinance and has come to the agreement to make a favorable recommendation to the City of Crowley Council to request that the ordinance be reviewed and also a committee of citizens and interested parties be formed to review City of Crowley Code Gateway Ordinance. I think that would be a great idea. I hate to kick this can down the road anymore, but I think just restricting the uses like we're talking about doing tonight is not going to solve the greater problem of all of the crazy things that are in there. I mean, if you really need to look at it and read it. I don't know how who came up with all of that stuff. I'm not a lawyer. Lau, you are. But it's really, really, really confusing, and I don't expect our code enforcement department to be able to actually enforce this stuff because it's too widespread, it's too crazy. So my recommendation would be the same recommendation as the Planning and Zoning Commission, to get some citizens involved in this gateway ordinance and to come up with a plan that's really workable, because as it stands now, I agree 100%, it's not workable, it's not doable, but I don't know what the answer is. Reverting back to C3 is not the answer either. And just doing away with the restricted uses, it's still not going to take away all of those other restrictions that they have to abide by. And if they have to abide by, certain distance from the road, you have to have greenery. The tree thing is what got me. It has to be able to grow so many feet in so many years, and it's just all kinds of crazy stuff. So anyway, my recommendation would be to take the recommendation from the Planning Commission that they set forth back in December, and let's get some citizens involved. Let's come up with something that's workable and doable for the long haul. This as it stands right now, to me, is not workable and it's not doable. It's a detriment to any businesses that are trying to open up in Crowley, and I don't know how they can possibly do it and follow all of these ordinances. So that's my take on it.
In the meantime, I'm sorry, Mr. Martin.
I hate to tell you this, but I was one of the clowns that tried to make this thing happen. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard me say many a times when it was brought up that I didn't understand it, because even if you remember, we were trying to just keep from I-10 to Northern to be unified. In other words, you put a new building, because I think at the time they had O'Reilly's and a few other buildings coming up. And we didn't want them to put a green building or whatever. But you are 100% right about having what we call a conference of our citizens. But right now, the council has the power to eliminate the prohibited use. I think if we do that tonight, because I'm pretty sure we're all in favor of getting rid of prohibited use, because basically we're taking money from the city. That would allow for, the gentleman with the building, he can call his bank tomorrow and tell them, hey, the council got rid of but he knows for a fact that whatever he puts up will be reviewed. Okay?
And you'll have to follow all of
Exactly. I mean, it's crazy, but we could take this one on a case-to-case. I mean, if you see something that's in violation, I'm pretty sure it's going to be told. So I would say, if it's the wishes of the council to try and get industry and business into the city, let's go ahead and strike tonight the prohibited use.
Actually, Mr. Martin, this is an ordinance, it has to come before public hearing.
Well, I
We have to set
understand,
a date, but I understand your explanation.
but if we go ahead and do this tonight, that public hearing can be next week.
So no, so we have to set a date, and it's gonna be at our next regular meeting.
But Mayor, what I'm saying is, the power of getting things started is that you have to begin.
But you have to have notification, Mr. Martin.
Yeah, 3 days?
All we're doing is setting a date. I understand what you're trying to do, but all you can do is to set a date at the very next public hearing, at our very next meeting. And then you have to have, the public has to have a chance to speak.
I understand that, but we're striking just one clause, we're not striking the whole ordinance, okay? Now, I think if truth be told, I've seen the gentleman in our meeting for at least three meetings, okay? And I'm pretty sure he's getting sick and tired of being sick and tired of the fact that his banks are calling him. I don't know what's the duration on his loan, I don't know what percentage he got. But I think if possible, to call legal and ask is there any way that we can call a special meeting? I mean, we've done it before. We done had a short term public hearing on things. Instead of waiting another month and then have to come into negotiations on everything else. But if we just go ahead and keep it germane to just this one thing, I think this gentleman would be able to start his business because he's here tonight. There's nobody else that unless there is someone that's out there saying, well, what's good for the gander is good for the goose. So thank you.
Mayor, I'm not sure, I'm not absolutely sure what I'm about to say, but I think amending the ordinance is a shorter process than attempting to abolish the entire ordinance within itself. And so we might be able to get this done a little quicker than, I believe, you can check with Mr.
Yes,
Reagan, but
and I
I think
will check with Mr. Reagan, but at this point, I need to set the date for the next regular scheduled meeting, and then we could always call for a special meeting before, if possible. Yes, Mrs. Stringfellow.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a question about the properties that are grandfathered in on this gateway. And like Alderman Crater, I read the thing, and it's very confusing to me. Are the businesses that are already established, are they under the same criteria? So they can look however, if they're already there.
They're already grandfathered.
They're already grandfathered, okay. And then another point is, we have a car wash that was built after the gateway ordinance, so we really need to watch the ordinance if we're gonna, whatever we're gonna do, we need to make sure we enforce, our, whatever we decide, we have to enforce, or it's just not worth the paper it's printed on.
Okay, so, yes, sir.
Mayor, Mr. Mayor is showing me he has a copy of the proposed resolution that has the date that Mr. Reagan plugged in. It must be in compliance with the time delays. Mr. Reagan had put August the 12th
That's it.
at 6 p.m.
That's the next.
That's the next council meeting. Yes, sir. So August the 12th. Okay, and that is all we're doing, is setting the date. Adopting resolutions to introduce the motion that you have.
If I may also, just to address Mr. Crater's comments, first of all, I'm glad he read it because he sees what I was talking about. And I think, absolutely, I think that could follow and we could simplify and maintain what is attempting to be done. Right?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Okay. All right, I think that's it for zoning and annexation. Oh, I'm sorry, under non-action items.
Under non-action items, city engineer Tim May presented the monthly engineering report.
I have a question of clarification, just to make sure. The last thing that went through was setting a date for a public hearing and to amend it to no longer have prohibited uses. Is that correct?
Prohibited uses.
Canceling the prohibited uses and
A
a
public hearing
for that.
to entertain whether you cancel.
A public hearing.
Yes. Okay. Good. I'm sorry, Mr. Bowden, go ahead.
Quite all right. Non-action items, city engineer Tim Mater presented the monthly engineer's report. There was no further business that came before zoning and annexation and the committee recess.
Thank you. Next, Public Safety, Mr. Gordon.
Thank you, Mayor. Public Safety Committee convened Wednesday, July 1st, 2020 at 4 p.m. in council chambers. The quorum was present. Under action items, a motion was offered by myself and seconded by Alderwoman Kim Stringfellow to approve the following 2020 beer and liquor licenses. These are the new licenses issued, requested by Big Daddy 2020 Incorporated, doing business as Cajun Market. We'll get a 109 Southeastern Avenue, 2020 Class B package beer permit. And the second would be Big Daddy 2020 Incorporated, doing business as Winner's Circle. We'll get an 815 Hargrave, 2020 Class A retail beer permit, and 2020 Class A retail liquor permit. The motion carried, and I so move to handle these in global.
Offered by Mr. Cord, seconded by Ms. Stringfellow. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
A motion was made by myself and seconded by Alderman Vernon Martin to authorize a recommendation to issue a rule to show cause for condemnation of property belonging to Jason Montz, described as Lot 9 of Block 145, City of Crowley, Arcadia Parish, Louisiana, having a municipal address of 318 West 9th Street. The motion carried, and I so move.
Second.
Offered by Mr. Cord, seconded by Mr. Fogelman. Discussion? Mr. Martin?
Okay. I'm pretty sure if you hadn't seen the house, you pass by it, you see what's going on. This right here is considered a public nuisance. It's direct, I mean, the words just don't come out right. This is the worst thing that can happen in the city. With this virus going on, kids playing around there, and for the other intention of a psyche, you walking down the street, all of a sudden, that's the one using the restroom in front of you, or whatever. We need to go by, this is from the elementary right here, everybody has to review, and I thank Grass for the weekly copies of it. There are statutes right now that, as the mayor and the police chief, elected officials, as well as the chair of public safety, this can be taken in with the direction of calling it a public nuisance. Also, it has the direct implication of a health hazard. It has to be dealt with right now. It cannot wait because the summer's here and these hot days and you know what's going on with that. So what I would ask this council to do is very simple. I know procedures that we've done in the past, but if you read this, the legislators have changed it because of the Brownfield law. And it's in our power to take it down. It has already been condemned. Okay? The hard work has been done.
We're doing that right now, Mr. Martin, the rule show cause.
Okay, well, I'm just saying. We need to enact this instead of waiting 30 days. Once this is voted on, it tells you right here, we can get together within 10 days. Okay? We have a special meeting on this, but then declare it a public hazard risk. So what I'm asking this council to do is please, let's not lollygag with this because they have people held at risk. Okay? Thank you.
And Mr. Martin, just to let you know that I did speak, I want to let everyone know that I did have conference today on the phone with Mr. Reagan about that, exactly what you're talking about. If you remember back when Mr. Neil Irwin gave his class, I still have that publication, and I also have that LMA's monthly publication, and I got Mr. Reagan to review those. He didn't see anything in those, but he is reviewing for that statute that you're talking about. And he will give me more information about it hopefully this week, and that way we can act on it fast if possible.
Thank you.
But yes, sir, but in the meantime, I'm just letting them know that I did speak to him about it, and he is reviewing it. And he's going to research it, and he will let me know. But in the meantime, we're voting on a rule to show cause, and we have to set a date. And that's the regular next council meeting, which is August 12th, for a public hearing. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Ms. Stringfellow?
Thank you, Mayor. If Mr. Reagan finds that we can move faster, we would do that.
Absolutely. I just have to set a date for the next regular meeting for a public hearing, and hopefully we can move as fast as we possibly can. Yes, ma'am. Mr. Prater?
Yes, I went by there and looked at that house also today, and I think that, isn't there a law, Jimmy, maybe you could help us with this, that if they're living in there, and what I've been told is there's no utilities, so if you don't have water and you don't have electricity, I can understand the, not electricity part, but if they don't have water in there, we need to check on that. If they don't, then to me, that would be an immediate eviction. I mean, immediate. If we shouldn't have to wait for anybody to do anything. So I don't know if we check with Lawco or who it is, but if there's no water going to that house, then that should be immediate. We shouldn't have to sit here and bicker about it and wait another month. I mean, that's ridiculous. Nobody should be living in a house with no water.
Okay, Chief, I apologize, I don't mean to interrupt you. I asked Mr. Reagan to please watch on video, which he is. He just texted me and said that our code enforcement needs to go and issue a citation for a public nuisance, and prosecution is in the city court, not in the city council. Okay? Yes, ma'am, no, we can do that, yes, ma'am. So I'm just making it clear.
And just to let you know, I have been to the residence. There is no electricity, there's no water, there's holes in the roof, there's holes in the floor. You see more sunlight in that house than you probably do outside.
No water means.
No water, none,
That's
none, for anything.
Ms. Stringfellow?
Mayor, didn't Dr. Proctor say that Tony went there and he went and gave them the citation?
Well, he did go over there, he put a sign, and Chief can verify what I'm saying. He put a sign, just to let everybody know, you cannot put the condemnation sign until the city council condemns the property. So he put the sign prior to condemning the property. The gentleman tore it down. We were trying to press charges. It could not be filed because the process wasn't followed correctly. It was filed correctly, but not in a timely fashion.
Right. And he did return the sign, by the way.
Yes, he did. We have it at our office. And we were waiting on these other signs that did not have condemnation. We just don't have them yet. And that way we can go put those signs out and take it off to where they can't reside there. So that's what we're waiting on. Yes, sir, Mr. Prater?
But would that be an issue for the Department of Health and Hospitals, that if they don't have water going to that residence and they're living there, how are they, I mean, just, you can figure it out yourself, their hygiene can't be wrong. I mean, you can't, so that should be an immediate eviction. Somebody should knock on the door and say, you got water, you don't have water, get out. And if they need assistance, then that should be provided also.
All right? And then for us to be able to do that, we have to hope what we're doing right now is a resolution, rule shall law. So, if there's no more questions, I'm gonna ask, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now we got the ball rolling.
Next, the motion was made by myself and seconded by Alderwoman Kim Stringfellow to adopt a resolution introducing a proposed ordinance and calling for a public hearing on same to amend and reenact section 11-211 of Article 7 of Chapter 11 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Crowley to provide for locked trash containers, to repeal all ordinances or parts of ordinances contrary thereto or in conflict therewith, to provide for the provisions hereof and to be severable, and to provide for all matters relative thereto. The motion carried, and I so move.
Okay, again, offered by Mr. Ford, seconded by Mr. Martin. Discussion, but again, this is an introduction for a public hearing. This is an introduction for a new ordinance for a public hearing, so we're setting a date. We're not voting, we're voting, but we're not voting. And we can contradict ourselves. Yes, Mr. Stringfellow.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'm so sorry, but I would like to amend that motion, and instead of the wording locked, just to have the word secured instead of locked. That way the business owners don't incur too much expense. And everything else in the ordinance, sounds good. The dumpsters, are prohibited to be overflown, you know. So everything else is worded, correctly. If we could just change the word locked to secured.
Okay, so you're offering an amended resolution
Yes.
to have that word changed to secure.
Is that gonna back up our time on it?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am. Okay, please make that vote to change the word. Okay, all in favor? Okay, and opposed, and this will be August 12th, public hearing. Okay?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
On the special side, if I may, I'd like to introduce this into what Kim just said. I've been looking for this right here. If I may read it directly from the state, adopt a basic but strong. This right here should give everybody hope that we can get this thing done. It reads, State Statute 334761 authorize municipal demolition and removal of dilapidated and dangerous structures when it endangers the public welfare. However, even a better approach is to adopt at least a basic but strong local property maintenance, ordinance. That means that we can tell them what to do with their property. Okay, they have to fall in line to make sure that the doors are upright, the windows and lights, what have you. Okay, the property maintenance ordinance, customized for our local needs. Okay, also available is the detailed International Property Maintenance Code, which we go by as home builders. But you need to add your own enforcement provision based on your local resources. In other words, we can have in this ordinance, we can have the chief knock on the door and say, you got 24 hours to get out of here. Because this place is considered, he has the power to step that structure as a public health risk. So I think if we can use that bill, I'd like to offer that for us to look into if once we get this ordinance.
That is what Ms. Gray is looking into.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Continue, Mr. Ford.
Thank you, Mayor. On the non-action items, Chief of Police Jim Broussard presented the monthly police department report. His department answered 861 calls last month and issued 161 TIDS citations. He indicated he conducted a study and a four-way stop sign near Avenue H and 12th Street may be warranted. Interim Fire Chief Terry Romero presented the monthly fire department report. Code Enforcement Assistant Tony Collins presented the Code Enforcement report. Since January 1st of this year, the department has issued 12 demolition permits, and 7 of those demolitions have been completed. Between May 1st and June 30th, the department has issued 65 code violations for tall grass, and of those violations, the city was required to cut 16, with an additional 7 to be cut soon. Dr. Exora Proctor addressed the committee to inform them of the condition of the house located at 318 West 9th Street, which is situated across the street from her residence. She confirmed the need for the house to be condemned and the people living there evicted due to a lack of running water, sewage, and electricity in the house, and the many repairs that need to be made to the building. Sergeant Nick Penn made a presentation in favor of the purchase of eForce software for the police department. Captain Chad Monso presented information on the replacement of fire trucks and related costs. In the absence of City Attorney Tom Reagan, Mayor Monso read a memo from Mr. Reagan concerning amending the city ordinances to increase minimum fines or citations to $100. Regarding renovations to the Central Fire Station, Mayor Monso reported he had received 1 bid and is hoping to receive a second bid from another contractor soon. Alderman Vernon Martin requested that the Crowley Animal Shelter have a name change to specify it as a no-kill shelter. There was no further action to come before the Public Safety Committee, and the committee recessed.
Thank you, sir. Next is public buildings. Mr. Woolridge.
On the building committee convened on last July 1st at 2020 at 4 p.m. We had a quorum on the action items. A motion was offered by Alderman Byron Word, and second by Alderman Woman Kim Frank to co-sponsor the food truck competition. spearheaded by Rick Littleton on Saturday, July 25th, 2020, in the parking lot of the Enterprise Center. Motion carried and I so move.
Second.
Offered by Mr. Wood, seconded by Mr. Martin. Discussion? I would also like to add that I spoke to Mr. Villageman today. They are going to be getting an insurance that will protect the city from any liability.
In regards to that, thank you, Mr. Mayor, in regards to that, if I may, there are two different types of insurances that we can get where this is concerned. We're gonna go for the more, concentrated one, I guess you could say the more clear-cut one. There's two options. Basically, if you, have a nonprofit like we have that has different events, you can add the event per event to your homeowner's policy. It's, I guess it depends by the different insurance companies, but basically $10 for the addition. However, every Thursday we'd have to call and add it to an insurance policy. Every Monday we'd have to call and drop it. What we're gonna do, and I'm going to, what I'm gonna offer to our board is that we just do a whole policy just on events for one crowd, so that all of our events are covered under a certain amount of money. And then I'm going to get with, once our board decides if they want to do that, I'm going to get with the insurance agent. That should all be taking place over the next 24 hours to be able to get a policy that whether it's the farmer's market, whether it's the food truck battle, whether it's a benefit concert we want to give, or our career day we want to do, no matter what it is, we have the event insurance to cover it, and we don't have to worry about dropping and picking it up every time we have an event.
Do we have a,
I'm sorry. Who was first?
do we have a, something in the ordinance says a minimum coverage that has to be, obtained, for insurance coverage?
It just shows that we have to be named the second insurer. That's what our contract, that's what our policy is. So that frees up the liability of the city of Crowley.
Name, I would suggest we could get to Tom to do a harmless agreement as well as a waiver of subrogation. Harmless, in other words, the city is held as a hold harmless, and there's a waiver of subrogation and set minimum requirements, insurance requirements. Thank you, Tom.
Don't pay attention to me, I'm
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's $1 million cover all.
He's in line and sober, he's not here in line. He was asking a question, and I'm answering, that's the technology.
Mm-hmm.
So he was asking if they were an RSC 3, and yes, you are.
Yes.
I know. Okay. So we have that on record, and he's answering. I apologize for the delay.
Yeah, while that's going on, this might help out. With my 501c3, I pay $1 million coverage, okay, and it blankets. And like the mayor said, the sub guarantee would be whoever the entity is. So it is what it is. $1 million, I hope that answers your question. I think it's the minimum that they require. A lot of people think $1 million, that might be $75. But at the end of the day, it's best to have it not needed than needed not have it.
Yes, that is correct, and Mr. Reagan said that insurance policy is very easy to acquire.
Yeah. Thank you, and that is exactly what we were talking about.
If you bring it to Williams, they already got everything written out. And he's covered.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions about the food truck thing? Well, I'm up here.
How many do you have now?
I'm waiting on you guys, man. I mean, it seems to be a common, No, we're very confident that we'll be able to get the ones located here in town. We've had some positive response from the ones here in town. And again, one of our board members owns a food truck here in town, and he's gonna try to get a couple of them from out of town. Success isn't in numbers, success is in impact. In your belly, right? I'd rather have 4 great trucks out there that believes in what we're doing and is willing to help out the community than have 10 out there who's doing nothing more than fighting with each other and complaining because they want that spot and the other truck took the spot.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Goodman. Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion on the floor? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
There was no further business to come before the Public Business Committee, the committee recess.
Thank you, sir. Next is insurance and personnel, Ms. Stringfellow.
Thank you, Mayor. The Insurance and Personnel Committee convened Wednesday, July 1st, 2020, 4 p.m. in the council chambers. There were no action items. Under non-action items, I read a report from Captain Louis Romero, Crowley Municipal Fire and Police Civil Service Board Chairman, and he stated that the applicants for the fire chief will be administered a test on July 8th at 9:30. There will be a civil service board meeting on August 10th, and they will be discussing civil service pay and holiday pay. The mayor provided me with my request for reasons for the health insurance change and the amount of money saved, and I'm planning on meeting with Julie tomorrow to discuss that a little further. There was no further business to come before the Insurance and Personnel Committee, and the committee recessed.
Thank you, Ms. Stringfellow. Community and economic development. Wait, she already gave her report. Mr.
No, what did you ask, if there was anything else to come before?
Oh, yes, I did. Was there anything else?
Yeah, just one, if I may.
No, it states right here on the report, there was no further business to come before the Insurance and Personnel Committee.
Right.
The committee recessed.
Committee recess.
That's
But
right.
now, is there any other thing to come before this committee?
No, sir, that's not on this agenda. She gives the report, and we stick it to our agenda. Community and Economic Development Committee, Mr. Reggie.
Thank you, Mayor. Community and Economic Development Committee convened Wednesday, July 1st, 2020 at 4 p.m. in the council chambers. A quorum was present. Under action items, there were none. Under non-action items, Dr. Zora Proctor, Chairwoman of Crowley's Complete Count Committee for the 2020 Census, addressed the committee and asked for the assistance of each member of the council in encouraging citizens to complete the census. Cameron Dugar, a member of Crowley Together, addressed the committee and read a poem he composed about Crowley, and there was no further business to come before Community and Economic Development Committee, and the committee recessed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Reggie. And we'd like to thank Mrs. Zora Proctor for all that she did and does for the Census Committee. Okay, next is Revenue and Finance Committee, Mr. Cordell.
Revenue and Finance Committee convened on Wednesday, July 1, 2020, at 4 p.m. in the council chambers. A quorum was present. I'm in receipt of a letter from City Attorney Tom Reagan that is to be read into record. Reason, dated July 8, 2020. Chairman Jeff Bell, Finance Committee, Mayor Tim Monso, members of the Board of Aldermen. Reason, Axon body camera purchase. Dear Chairman Cabell, Mayor Monso, and members of the council, unfortunately, since I am unable to be present in person due to my high-risk factors, please read this letter aloud prior to the vote on a recommendation of the Finance Committee. This letter has become a political issue, as demonstrated by the interruption stated as a point of order, which was not. Therefore, it is incumbent upon me to clearly state the legal position of the city, in order that this matter might be resolved with Axon, with a full understanding by the Board of Aldermen that you are not approving a simple purchase by the Chief of Police. Let me be unequivocal, clear, and direct. Chief Jimmy Broussard executed a contract with Axon for the purchase of equipment which was not within his legal authority. It is therefore an illegal contract. I can unequivocally state that no one other than the mayor of the City of Crowley, a Larson Act municipality, has the authority to sign the contract on behalf of the City of Crowley. Chairman Cavell correctly referenced the statutory authority in his remarks prior to the committee vote last Wednesday. More importantly, this is a well-known law which mayors and elected chiefs of police throughout the state of Louisiana are well familiar with. It is part of the standard information and instruction provided by the Louisiana Municipality Association, the Chief of Police Association, and the Louisiana City Clerks Association to elected officials and officers, and is often repeated at every seminar and meeting regarding duties, responsibilities, and powers of the elected officers of municipalities. It is absolutely clear that the mayor, as chief executive officer of the Larson Act municipality, must sign all contract. Chief Broussard's response includes a statement that he checked with a member of the prior administration. I cannot speak to that. However, I can speak to the fact that I was not informed of negotiations by the police department to acquire body cameras, tasers, and associated equipment and technology utilizing the lease purchase agreement, nor was my advice requested prior to the execution of the contract by the chief of police. It was only after the presentation of a bill by Axon for over $40,000 to the City of Crowley that I was then informed of the purchase. When inquiries were made of the chief, I received a copy of the document Chief Broussard had signed. It was obvious this document was a lease purchase agreement, which is clearly a contract. The chief of police is not legally authorized to execute, nor can he authorize to execute on behalf of the City of Crowley any contract. Furthermore, the execution of a lease purchase agreement is a complicated matter since annual payments are required beyond the budget year for which an appropriation can be made unless it is an approved financing transaction, such as an appropriation can be made unless it is an approved financing transaction, such as a certificate of debt, bonds issued by the city, or a lease purchase agreement containing a specific non-appropriation clause which renders the payment schedule subject to an annual appropriation by the governing authority. This further complicates the resolution of this matter. Moreover, the Board of Aldermen is without any power whatsoever to authorize the Chief of Police to sign a contract of any type. Certainly not a 5-year lease purchase agreement which does not contain the required Louisiana clauses to avoid an improper and illegal financing transaction which has not been approved by the State Bond Commission and does not comply with the Louisiana Attorney General's opinion and Louisiana legislative auditor's requirements. Contracts for multi-year commitments of payments must be approved by the Louisiana State Bond Commission, which requires full disclosure. Financial analysis and staff recommendation to be presented at a hearing to the Bond Commission. It is an expensive proceeding which requires legal advice and consultation, the preparation and submission of the proper documents, the purchase of equipment through the use of a lease purchase agreement containing the standard Louisiana non-appropriation clauses and any substitution clauses well known. Moreover, Axon has a lease purchase form for Louisiana, and each year they submit their proposal for state contract purposes, which is bid through the Louisiana Division of Administration. This procedure is commonly used, and Axon is certainly familiar with it, since all the evidence indicates Axon and its sales personnel complete lease purchase transactions throughout the state of Louisiana every year using the proper forms. In the case of municipalities, all lease purchase agreements are signed by the mayor as an executive officer, chief executive officer of the Larson Act municipalities. I further wish to advise you unequivocally that this contract is not legally binding upon the City of Crowley. The mayor and board of aldermen have no legal obligation which requires appropriations be made to pay for this equipment, nor Axon have any reasonable expectation the board of aldermen must agree to and approve the transaction, which would require as much as $200,000, which would never appropriated nor included in prior budget approved by the board of aldermen. However,
it is within the power of this board to resolve this matter by providing an appropriation which Axon is willing to accept and to allow the mayor and I to negotiate a schedule of payments which would require further annual appropriations by this body, including all legal issues created by the ill-advised actions of the chief of police. Unfortunately, the illegality of this transaction has become obscured by political arguments. While it is within the power of the Board of Aldermen to accept the recommendation of the Finance Committee, I cannot ignore the complete misstatement of facts and theatrical performance during the committee meeting, which unfortunately has become widely publicized over social media. Mr. Cavell also accurately pointed out the chief has purchased a vehicle after adding additional equipment which was not properly authorized under law. He further arranged for and authorized 2 off-duty reserve officers and authorizing the use of a city police unit to transport private individuals to a non-Louisiana prison for a family visit. These actions were not authorized by law and were therefore illegal. Transporting private individuals further exposes the city to liability for injuries in the case of an accident and involves expenditure of public funds for a private purpose. The chief is therefore responsible for authorizing both transactions which are illegal under law. The chief explained he simply made a mistake when he ordered additional equipment for the vehicle. However, the chief purchased the vehicle without consulting with me or obtaining an opinion from the Attorney General whether it was legal to do so. He further stated it is a matter of sympathy and compassion which he believed to, quote, protect and serve, unquote, included the transportation of private individuals for a family visit utilizing public property. The mayor and council accepted his explanations at the time, since the chief promised he would no longer engage in such practices and did in fact pay the cost of the fuel used. Unfortunately, acceptance of this explanation did not change the illegal character of the actions. Moreover, the mayor and council did not make the transactions illegal. They simply did not rise to the level of prosecution. Fortunately, the matter was able to be resolved without severe financial impact to the city of Crowley. I stand by my recommendation to the committee and to you that the adoption of the resolution before you is an allowable, proper, and acceptable means to conclude negotiations with Axon to resolve this matter so that the police department may continue to utilize the equipment which we believe is appropriate and necessary for law enforcement purposes. Sincerely, Thomas K. Reagan, City Attorney. At this time, and under action items, a motion was offered by myself, seconded by Alderman Brad Porter, recommending an authorization to appropriate the sum of $80,000 to Axon, representing 2-year payments for police body cameras, and to amend the fiscal 2020 budget to authorize the payment prior to August 30, 2020. Motion carried, and I so moved.
Offered by Mr. Cavell, seconded by Ms. Stringfellow. Discussion.
Yes,
Mr. Martin.
First of all, I'm going to say this, and with all due respect to Tom Reagan and anybody else, I know the laws and law. Yes, I do. And the fact of the matter, this, what you just read, should have been an executive session. You're talking about an employee of the city of Crowley. That's first of all. Any acts that you have towards him, that's between you and him. The fact of the matter is, you, as quote unquote, supposedly the chair of finances, the mayor sits up there, and also Tom Reagan, 2 years and you didn't catch it in 2 years, that means you ain't doing your damn job. Okay? Every time there's something going on, you seem to be the instigator of it, which I have no problem with. You elected just like me, but I can promise you that won't be long. This letter that Tom just, I don't know how long he took to write it, and with all due respect to Tom Reagan and everybody else, times have changed. My main objective was, why did you wait 2 years, okay, to find something? Y'all 3 weeks every day, from what I'm understanding, okay? And if you do have a vendetta against the chief, you handle that with him. But you don't throw this council into the same mix as you. I'm talking about me, okay? Everything that's here, the Lawson Act, 100% correct. But the problem is, if you administrative you're supposed to overlook all contracts. And if it's not a legal contract, that's supposed to be brought to the chair of whatever it is. If it's something dealing with insurance personnel, we have an insurance personnel chair, okay? So all this craziness that you're talking about the reef and this and that, yes, that's in the Larson Act. But the Larson Act also has a quest of responsibility. If you are the administrator, we're the governing board, and I'm looking directly at you, I want you to understand this. We make the laws here. When the chief done this should have been caught at the time it was done, not 2 years later, all right? You're making it, when the public hear, oh, the chief done this 2 years ago. Okay, if you done it 2 years ago, we wouldn't told about it. And if you're supposed to be the chair of finance and revenue and finance, that means you going through the ledger, you seeing something illegal. Why didn't you call the chief in his office and just say, Chief, I'm sorry, the contract that you signed is a legal contract because only the mayor can execute this. And I'm pretty sure it would have been a done deal. But no, not you. You got to bring everything to the table, and there's a consequence for everything you do. You know? And like I said, good Lord is good. And one thing I want to thank you for, when we had our march, you came up there and you gave a good speech. But we know the real you, okay? And it's going to be brought out in the public real soon. Listen to me. This right here is a smear job. And I hope Tom Reagan is listening, because I'm going to tell you right now, you as city attorney, you should have stopped this contract when it was written. Okay, I don't know what camera you're on or whatever. You oversee all contracts that the city signs. You're supposed to look at all contracts, because basically you have a budget that you bring down. When there's $80,000, you have 100,000. Well, guess what? Now you got 20. None of that was brought up. Okay? So now you come in and you make it seem like this council done something illegal by allowing the chief to do whatever he done. We don't know what's going on, because the only three that knows is you, Tom, and the mayor. We don't get no information. Okay? I was blown away when I found out my utilities was $500,000 in the red. But every time we have a meeting, everything's good, everything's paid. So, only thing I'm telling you is this: don't bring me into your little games. And don't get me mad, because you ain't gonna like me when I'm mad. Okay? Don't use me to try and cross the bridge, because my idea is blowing the damn bridge up. Talk to people. You know that this contract was illegal? Talk to the man. Don't put the man out there in the public like you don't know what the hell he's doing. Okay? I happen to understand the Larson Act maybe a little better than most, because I read it every day, and I even teach it sometimes. But to say that this went on for 2 years. 2 years. I'm pretty sure you see it, because basically the budget that the chief had, I'm pretty sure you got a letter from the company, Axion or whoever, saying, where's our money? Why didn't you bring that to the council? Well, I got a letter from Axion or whoever it is. Guess what? They want their money. What's the money for? The cameras. Well, we thought the cameras, because I don't remember if it was this council or the council before y'all, but we voted for it to be paid in full. Okay? Now that the man went through a couple of $1,000 on the truck, man, what the hell? I mean, things changed. From what I understand, he paid for it. Okay? Taking the trip, that, believe it or not, is community policing. All right? I'm pretty sure you don't understand that, but the bottom line is, when you can help the public achieve something simple as bringing a family to go see their loved ones, okay, and you pay for that trip, come on, man, look, you got to have compassion. So I don't know what's going on with you and the chief, that's between y'all. But I'm saying that for Vernon Step Martin, don't pull me into little games, okay? This should have been paid 2 years ago, and you're making it sound right now that the chief stole 80,000, whatever it was, okay? And from what I'm understanding, he said, take it out of my budget. Done deal. Take it out of my budget. But no, y'all didn't do that. Y'all want to call KTC and all the rest of them, and, oh man, we got to make the chief look bad. You can't make somebody look bad that has good intentions. And I'm pretty sure when the chief signed that contract, he was looking out for his officers and the public safety of the city of Crowley. Because everybody knows what's going on right now. You see it every day. So I'm going to end my conversation and be very clear here. I applaud the chief for doing what he done. He might have done it in a different way, but his intention, I'm pretty sure, was not to break the law. Thank you.
There's a motion on the floor. Oh, Mr. Crater?
Does anybody know when this contract was signed, what the date was?
2 years ago.
Well, 2 years ago, no one knows when it was signed.
Not today, no, sir.
I think it was 2015, but
What?
Before we went in office. I think 2017.
Well, I know it's before we went in office, but we have to understand also that the prior mayor was under a lot of duress and going through cancer treatments and everything. And so I'm just kind of wondering when this contract was signed, and maybe that would shed light on what was happening at the time, but maybe we can get that answer sometime.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor for appropriations. It was offered by Mr. Cavell and seconded by Mr. Stringfellow. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
There's no further business to come before the Revenue and Finance Committee. The committee then recessed.
Thank you. Engineers report, Mr. Baker.
Nothing further, Mayor?
Next is ordinances. Is to consider ordinance 1506, an ordinance amending the budgets for the City of Crowley for the fiscal year beginning September 1st, 2019 and ending August 31st, 2020, and to provide for all matters relative thereto, and to repeal all ordinances or parts or ordinances inconsistent or in conflict therewith. Mr. Cavell.
I move that the ordinance, I'll make the motion.
Offered by Mr. Cavell.
The housekeeping.
Yes.
It's
housekeeping.
It's housekeeping. It's done every year.
It's a budget amendment, it's housekeeping is done every year, and also to include the $80,000.
We don't have nothing like that. No.
You don't have that copy?
We don't have an understanding of it. All we have is just, lucrative.
You don't have this? Should be in your packet. And
The other thing is, why didn't we get this a week ago to review it?
it was given to you at committee.
there were question marks on the last page. Are there numbers there?
Yeah, clean this up. Let's clean it up.
For a second.
I'll second. I'll second.
Okay, offered by Mr. Bell, seconded by Mr. Primo. Discussion. Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes, I seconded. So can y'all explain, is this to move money from like one department to another? Someone that's over, someone that's under? Is that what this is for?
Yes.
Okay.
You seconded it, you didn't know what it was about.
So this is what we would do every year?
Every year. Every year it was done.
Right.
It was done. Mr. Martin done it, approved it. Mr. Fogelman done it and approved it. Way back when I was on the council for 4 years, we approved it. Mr. Primo, you did too.
Yes.
When Mayor Jones was doing it as well.
Yes, I just wanted to make it clear as to what was happening.
Yes, sir.
And I did approve it last year also, and I walked out of here thinking, what the hell did I just
Thank
approve?
you.
And so I looked over it this year, and there's a total increase in expenditures over the approved budget of about $250,000, and there's a total decrease in revenue over what we approved in the budget of about $380,000. Now, where is this money coming from? Where is it going? Is it something we're taking out of the general fund to make up for the deficit in the revenue and expenditures? Or is this just the same amount that we approved in the budget that's just being redistributed? I'd like to know how this is all going.
And most of that money is from insurances. I mean, we can get it on the category, but yes, it is being moved. If you take that money, I mean, hold on one second. Get out my notes. was in my notes.
Yeah, the money that we get this. Okay. So we have a week to look on the budget, and everybody got questions. This week, I'm just saying. Thank you. Well, correct, because when you look, it's a roll call, that's the easiest thing.
You don't even know.
We did about 137. I'm telling you.
Yes, there was an over projection of $412,537. The COVID-19, there was a loss of revenue of $224,537. It's in there. Ms. Trinko?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to note that when I received this last week, it still had some question marks in the amounts, and I haven't fully been able to digest and look at everything close enough. This was given in our packet tonight, but we didn't get this with all the amounts in until tonight. Am I correct? I mean,
If I'm not mistaken, you had all those amounts at the beginning.
there were question marks in some of the areas. It wasn't a full, we didn't get full numbers on everything. Am I wrong? I mean,
I don't have my packet from last week.
So, my question.
Ms. Grady?
Okay, so my question is this money just being reappropriated in the budget that we approved, or are we being asked to approve additional funds to make up for instance,
No, sir. No, sir.
for instance, the attorney fees that were projected to be $60,000, what we approved, and they were actually $113,500.
Now, those
So-
attorney fees, I can explain that as well.
Well, I'm not going, if you want to go line by line, we can, but my question is, are we taking money out of the general fund to make up the deficits for the increase in expenditures and the decrease in revenue projection? That's my question.
Okay. Mr. Cavell?
Mr. Prater, if I could try to just answer it in simple, the budget, you have, is a balance sheet. So you have revenues, expenses, they have to balance, okay? So whenever you have revenues that are, as of last month, have not been up to projection, or that we foresee going to the end of August, you have to start accounting for that on the expenditure side. So, and try to get it back in balance. Yes, there's some expenditures even when you go to, let's take attorney fee, for instance, okay? You try to foresee what your attorney fee is going to face on past history. This year was pretty extraordinary. We had to bring in an extra attorney. There were other litigations, I think, that were happening that were in excess of what was the norm, okay? So that excess in expenses also has to be offset by some other expense. So therefore, that you're affecting two expenses at the same time on the bottom end, but you also have the revenues that have to match up as well. I'm hoping I'm not being complicated, but in all, it just has to be balanced. And it's just a matter of manipulating. No more monies are being appropriated or shown, other than what we've already approved ourselves.
So nothing's coming out of the general fund?
No, sir.
No, sir. No. It's just a balancing act, it's right. Just to clean, as I said, it's to sweep up the floor, put the chairs back in order, to finish the year off, so when the auditor comes in, it's done, like I said, regardless, it's been done every year, and it is done every year, to bring, like I said, it's housekeeping.
That is correct, and it's not asking the council to approve an appropriation for more money.
You're not asking for more money.
The only thing that is an appropriation tonight is the $80,000, which has to get included to this.
Yeah.
The $80,000 for those chambers.
So in other words, there's another expense that has to be reduced by the amount which is already reduced on the revenue side.
Now, that is an appropriation. Mr. Martin?
Okay. So basically what you're doing, we are being blackmailed to sign this, because that's basically what you're saying. The $80,000, what you're saying, if we don't sign this, the $80,000 don't get paid. Is that what you're saying? That's exactly what you're telling me. I don't know how y'all hear it.
You've already, Mr. Martin, excuse me, but we've already appropriated the 80,000. This just places the 80,000 in an expense account that hasn't been utilized to its fullest. You can't just add money when the money's not there.
Well, what are you doing here? You adding money. Now, you mentioned something here about the attorney. Whose fault was it to get another attorney?
What do you mean?
Huh? No, but wait.
Blame it on me, Mr. Martin. No, you seem to have a habit of that.
Well, you the damn fool that put it together, so you need to explain it. Now, the question I ask of you is this. Okay. In our business, if one bricklayer gets sick and we bring in another, that man getting paid. Okay? So, how did you, because I don't remember this council saying, okay, well, we're going to keep both attorneys on payroll. I know I didn't vote on that. We were told that we had an attorney that was, quote unquote, to use the good term, he was sick at the time. Okay? We waited. We couldn't get any business done. Okay? And with all due respect to anybody, that's taxpayers' money. So we're going to pay somebody to stay home, but then we're going to pay somebody to take his place. I don't know what kind of business you have, but I'm pretty sure that business won't be too much longer. Because basically, unless I'm hearing wrong, we had an attorney, we have an attorney, city attorney. You can smile all day. You understand what I'm saying? You can smile all day.
It's good to smile.
Yeah, it's good. Okay? But yet, he can't do his job. So we have to bring in another attorney. Okay? Where does that money come from? That money that the person missing work should be appropriated to that person doing the work. Okay? I don't care what kind of business you have. You can't pay two people to do the same job. I don't care who you are. But apparently, like I said, you and the mayor, y'all get in that little office and the landscape, this and the other, and then all of a sudden this gets thrown to us.
Mr. Martin, you're incorrect. Me and him don't get in the law. But I want to just clarify something to you about Mr. Reagan's salary. Mr. Reagan, by contract, which you probably signed years ago, is a contract and it's a retainage fee that he gets a salary. He gets a salary. If he doesn't work, he gets that salary, but he doesn't get anything else if he doesn't work. It's just like if you work so much, you get it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so that's why we got Mr. Woody, remember? We got Mr. Woody in here because...
Well, Tom should have been paying him, not us. Think about it.
No, sir. Incorrect.
Come on, man.
No, incorrect.
You tell it. Look, man.
That little bitty salary that Mr.
I don't care what it is if you're not working for it.
All right, I do, but you're incorrect, Mr. Reagan. I'm sorry, Mr. Martin, you're incorrect.
That's my opinion. If we need another attorney, and it could be anybody, it could be someone driving the trucks. If he can't do his job, okay, if you're on contract to do it, you have to find somebody to do it. That should come out of your salary, not add this burden to the city of Crowley.
That's your opinion, and
Well, that's mine.
Yes, sir, that was just, thank you for your opinion.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Mr. Gore?
Mayor, I just, I guess, took it upon myself to assume that these items would go in front of the finance committee to discuss. Because I've got some questions about some of these large over projections. For one, the occupational license tax was reduced by $188,000 due to over projection. Jeff, if you could explain, where is that money going to be offset in the budget? For instance, we have a deficit there or over expenditure. So where are we going?
Okay.
Give me a little background.
To exactly point exactly where, there is no one place it goes. There's no one-to-one relationship. There's no one-to-one relationship. Okay? It's overall revenue that's been lessened. Okay? So expenditures have to be reduced. Now, those expenditures can be reduced amongst several locations within the budget that haven't been utilized yet.
And where are those reductions going to be? Has that been determined?
That's not my decision. I don't know.
So we're going to approve something we don't really know what's the ultimate result?
The ultimate result is a balanced budget at the end of the year. Just as you started a balanced budget at the beginning of the year.
I mean,
So we
you
don't
think
know-
about, if you don't, in many ways, you go, it's a crapshoot to begin with, beginning of the year, okay? It's an educated one, but because you go by historical data. The issue is even worse because we had, okay, you took occupational license. There was one item in occupational license that was adjusted or added to because of the other professions that were included. And because it was the first year, it was hard to determine from the get-go exactly how many revenues you're going to foresee going forward, okay? Now, you look at whatever from 180,000 less what isn't paid or delinquent in payment, then you pretty much figure from that point what was over-projected just for that one item in occupational licenses. And look, that also determines are more businesses here as opposed to the previous years. You know,
My point is this, we anticipated getting another $188,000, which we did not get. However, when we set expenditures for the fiscal year, we spent that money in anticipation of getting just on this item, $180,000, which we didn't. So it's going back to Alderman Crowley mentioned, how did you not pull out the general fund? If you anticipated getting money, you spent the money, but it never came in. It's got to come from
these
somewhere.
are June numbers, we're now in July, that's where we're handling it now. So the adjustments, with what hasn't been expended, can be adjusted.
Okay, and the auditors will review it as a whole and not as an individual line.
I understand, but I'm getting back to the nuts and bolts. You know, we anticipated revenue was coming in. We didn't receive it, but we had expenditures to meet that anticipated revenue. So there is a loss somewhere that wasn't.
And that was, he projected that.
Mr. Primo?
And Brad, I think to kind of answer your question, so if another department maybe was 70,000 under budget, that he didn't spend everything that was budgeted, then it could be moved from his department to another department. But that he's right about they have to balance at the end.
Well, I understand the balance, I understand the counter principle, but the bottom line is we anticipate these revenue, you know, and we have a short time left in the budget. You know, I want to know where that cut's going to be, where's that extra money at in the budget? Is that going to be our staff, our CPA? Who's going to calculate all those numbers?
That's the clerk. That's why we have a clerk.
Right, so it won't be the CPA, it'll be our clerk.
CPA is going to assist in it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he is. Okay, there was a second. Now there has to be a roll call. Oh. Okay, go ahead. Discussion, go ahead, it's great.
Okay, so the approved budget, I guess, is where all of this mix-up or mess-up came from, because last year's budget was 6.2 million, 6.3 million, and this year's approved budget was 7.2 million. So I guess we were expecting, and that was cut way back from the first draft that we had, but I guess we were expecting our revenue to be about $1 million more than it was last year, for one thing. And that, it is up, but it's not up $1 million. Am I correct on that? Is that part of why this is out of whack? Because I don't see how you can have an increase in expenditures of 245,000 and a decrease in revenue, and no money's coming from anywhere. So this 7.2 million that we approved last year for the budget is what we're using to balance this right now. And we're not gonna add anything to the $7.2 million that we approved last year. Is that correct?
The $7.2 million.
Okay, we approved, fiscal 2020 approved budget was, I'm sorry, more than that, it's 16.9, 17 million, I'm sorry. So we got $17 million, so that's what we're using to balance this budget, this $17 million number, right?
Yeah, as a whole, yes, sir.
And our revenue is up for the year.
On sales tax.
Compared to last year.
That's the figure.
But our expenditures are over from what we projected them to be, or what you projected them to be in the budget by a significant amount.
Let me just, maybe this will help. Even if revenues was, let's say we hit a windfall, okay, and we were $5 million in excess of what we budgeted in revenue, we'd still have to do this. We'd still have to make that cleaning adjustment in the books.
That's fine. I
Okay,
understand.
that's what I want to
Understand.
say.
Show where it comes from. You have to show where it comes from. Right.
That's what it does. It does it right here.
I think we're just a little frustrated, Mayor, because we don't get to see any bills ever. We don't know what's coming in or going out, ever. And I just think that's some of the frustration.
And Mayor, with all due respect, one of the items in the ordinance, it gives the mayor and his sole discretion to make these changes. I mean, it seems like council should have some input as to being at least aware of where these numbers are going to fall. At some point. What's that, Jen?
It's within the Larson.
Okay, well, it's in Larson, so be it, thank you.
Mr. Martin?
Okay. Everything that you're saying right here, it basically, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. But eventually, Peter don't want his money back. What you do then? You go in the general fund? See, the reason why I don't trust this situation, and my colleague right here, Alderman Weirich can attest to. Do you remember when we were calling into the mayor's office, myself and Alderman Weirich, and we discussed a financial problem where the little hole on First Street, I remember that? The council was told it would take $7,000 to get this hole fixed. We get in the office, you tried to, and I'm gonna say both of y'all because y'all did a good job, but it didn't work. You tried to get myself and Mr. Weirich to try and make the council understand that it went from 7,000 to 90,000, and it wasn't a big deal. That's why I do not trust the numbers that you put together. The people didn't know that, and I don't see any objection saying it didn't happen because you know it did. Okay? The bottom line here, we need to see the bills. We need to see everything that this city encompasses as far as the fiscal. The most appalling thing is you don't have a member of our ward on this committee. That's the appalling thing. So we don't know what the heck's going on. Okay? As one of the senior members of this council, when we have to ask questions of what's going on, and we get the thing, well, I get back with you. Oh, I have to look into it. Just listen. Ever since that day, I don't trust anything that you bring to the table because there will be questions asked. And the accusation that I just made, I don't see y'all saying it didn't happen because you know it did. It went from 7,000 to 90,000 and you couldn't come up with an explanation how it did. Okay? So, before, and this is me, before I tag on to this budget right here, there's going to be a lot of discussion going on. Show us the bills, as Councilwoman Stringfellow just said. Show us the bills. Why are you all hiding the bills? If we would have had the bills, Axion would have been paid 2 years ago.
Mr. Martin, I'm going to intervene right there. We're not hiding the bills, and you're welcome. You are more than welcome. I am not bringing them in here. You are more than welcome to come to City Hall and we'll get a report.
There you go again. Come to City Hall.
Well, you come to City Hall and you'll get the bills.
Why can't
We'll
we
make
put
a
it inside our
report.
box?
We will make a report. This is how it's going to go. We will make a report, and you can look at, sit down right there. They're not leaving City Hall, and you can, anyone.
Why can't we get a copy in our box? We have an official box. And you don't make that determination what we get because it's dealing with the finances of the city.
You can look at every bill. There is nothing hidden. There is
Must
nothing.
be. We don't have no copies.
There's nothing hidden. You can come to City Hall and look at them all you like.
Come to City Hall.
Thank you. That's the way it's going to work.
Okay, that's you talking.
Okay.
2,700 is getting
Mr.
close,
Craig.
but
Okay, so bottom line is, I don't have a problem approving this if I'm assured that there's not a penny coming out of the general fund to cover any deficit
I
or
assure
any
you.
overspending.
I assure you, right here in public, it will not come out of general fund. This is housekeeping. And Mr. Martin, Mr. Fogelman, Mr. Primo, and myself have voted in this in the past.
And
Because we had transparency on it.
Oh,
We
yeah,
knew
right.
what was
Oh,
going
yeah.
on.
Okay. All right, Mr. Volkman, you had your hand up, I'm sorry.
The only question in conjunction with Mr. Rader's statement, is this including the 80,000? Where is the 80,000?
80,000.
That's appropriate.
It has to be
That's
appropriated.
coming out of the general fund?
That has to be appropriated out of the general
Well, you
fund.
that's, okay, that's
It's already
the thing.
stated.
The
But it
balance
was already stated.
Okay, no, this is the problem, it's all very confusing. I understand what you're doing with the budget. You've got pluses and you've got minuses, and you're equalizing things.
Yes, sir.
But where's the 80? That is
80 has to come
additional-
out of general fund.
Okay, so that is
Yes,
the
sir.
only money being pulled to balance
That
this
is an
budget.
appropriation.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I have
This
to
is
vote
not
on
an
this, and I
appropriation.
want to understand. Okay, thank you.
This is housekeeping. I apologize, and it needs to be separated, yes. $80,000 is an appropriation to be able to pay for that, and it has to come out of general fund.
Understand.
Okay, then, this is not an appropriation, this is just housekeeping.
Shuffling.
Yes,
money.
Yes.
Okay.
There's no money coming out of general fund based on this.
Wasn't the money already appropriated for the 80,000 2 years ago?
No, sir.
Yes, it was. Yes,
2 years ago?
when we got those cameras, even the chief, made a statement, you could take it out of my budget.
That's when you thought it was just 40,000.
Even to that point, 40,000 would have been a good down payment.
But he did, and paid 40,000. But then it was determined that there were annual payments to follow.
Yes, sir.
That's what happened.
Yes, sir, there was supposed to be 5 annual payments of $40,000.
And he didn't realize that that was the problem.
Right, so we're trying to catch up with that, according. All right. Okay, roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Joe Cabell,
Yes.
Brad Ford,
Yes.
Clay Crater,
Yes?
Lyle Holman,
Yes.
Vernon Martin,
Abstain.
Stephen Primo,
Yes.
Sammy Reggie,
I want to be yes, but I'm a no, I'm sorry.
Kim Stringfellow. No. Byron Woodward,
No.
Five yeas, 3 nays, and 1 abstain.
Okay, thank you.
Point of order. I'd like to read, my vote.
Point of order, what is your,
I'd like to change my vote from abstaining to a nay.
okay. All right. And also, just to let you know, that was a text, and appropriations are coming from surplus money. That means surplus money that was rolled over into the general fund, okay?
Coming out of the general fund.
It is still coming out of general fund, yes. So, anyway, wait a minute. No, the $80,000.
No,
$80,000 is all I'm speaking of. I shouldn't have said anything, but anyway. Okay. All right, so. Okay, 5 yeas and 4 nays, that is passed. Okay? Now, looking for an adjournment, please.
I'd like to publicly on record, I do not have a copy of the numbers
Okay,
in my
one second.
package.
Yes, ma'am, 1 second. Walker. Vice Mr. Cabell, seconded by Mr. Corley.
I also need a copy of the letter from Tom.
You can have one. Got that? I can give her that. Okay, great. Yes, I do.
You gonna stuck in something that you don't know what the hell it is. You understand me? You don't know what they have to put together.
Last year I walked out here not knowing what the hell. Yes. I wanted to make sure this year.
I tell you what.
Having a good time.
Hey, results come, it's working. Gentlemen, y'all have a good evening.
We gotta get there. I gotta get there.
Yeah, hold on to that, man. Listen, the legislative change, when you read into it,